Welcome to Eclectic Soundtrax Podcast. On this episode, we chat with vocalist Carrie Stevens and guitarist-bassist Avn Donovan of the neo-barrelhouse swingin' jazz meets pop rock band Cara Van Thorn. We discuss the band's origins as well as the current lineup and how they came up with their unique name. We also discuss donuts, musical backgrounds, audio engineering, Adam's endorsement deal with Kiesel Guitars, Stephen King novels and sci-fi nerd books, movies, stand-up comedy, and Adam's first job at an oil field in Odessa, Texas. Once escaping to Austin, Avn developed a wide variety of skills such as mechanic, audio engineer, and running live sound and lighting. Carrie relocated to the live music capital of the world from Portland, Oregon, with a background in musical theater. The two met in a band called Donkey Island, and the rest is history. Before we get started, we'd just like to remind you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'd also like to thank our friends at Godan Guitars, Tragan Guitars, Ernie Ball Strings, and 5 Iron Woodworks. Now on with the show.
Here we go. Another episode of Eclectic Soundtrax, and we are here with Cara Van Thorn. And now part of Cara Van Thorn is actually Karen. Cara Van Thorn. No, what's your name? What a horrible way to start the interview. Worst start to an interview ever. And it occurred to me, I was like, oh my God, like I know your name, but clearly I don't at the moment. Avn Donovan, how are you, sir? We're just going to cut it off and we're going to chop that.
No.
So Avn Donovan, tell us who you're with. Who is that lovely lady you're with right there?
This is Carrie Stevens, the other half of Cara Van Thorn.
Carrie, that's what I meant to say was Carrie.
It's so close that so many people, I'll email people from our Cara Van Thorn Gmail, and even though I specifically sign my name as Carrie, they still immediately respond as, "Hi, Cara."
Yeah, I mean,
you're not the first.
Yeah, I know.
We kind of did that to ourselves.
Well, it's a really cool name, and I know there's a story about it, and I kind of I saw you guys on Up Late Austin, and those guys are great. I've played on that show with a few different bands, and they're really nice guys, and but I had already come across you. Initially, I think I found out about Cara Van Thorn, which originally was Caravan, and I found out about you guys initially from Tyler Olfers, who was playing with you at one point and was playing keys, right?
Yeah.
So I remember the name from that, and then I think you told the story about the name change or that where Cara Van Thorn came from on that Up Late show. But I'm sure it would be much better for you to tell people that than for me to get it all wrong like I've already done with your name. So why don't you tell us, Carrie, how the name of the band came about, Carrie?
Well, we started as Caravan, and it was actually another friend of ours who put our two names together, Carrie and Donovan, to create Caravan. So we were performing under that moniker for quite some time, a couple of years, and that's actually when Tyler first joined us. But we realized that there were too many Caravans out there. There's so many bands named Caravan or that had Caravan in the name. We were starting to get confused with Caravan Palace because they do some similar styles of music. And we actually ended up going to a CD Baby conference that was here in Austin to learn a lot about independent music and some of the marketing that goes in behind that and working it out. And one of the recommendations that one of the presenters gave was to have a listening party. And that listening party, so we scheduled that with some select friends that we invited over. And part of that was listening to the music and giving some feedback and kind of trying to nail down what our genre is, because in our minds, every single song felt very, very different. And then, of course, hearing other people's opinions of it, they're like, what are you talking about? This all fits together. But part of that also was coming up with a new name. So kind of starting with Caravan, and we gave everyone at the party the history of that name. and kind of stuck with it. I personally wanted to keep something along the lines of Caravan just because we had been building up that brand for some time. So it wasn't a complete 180 into something else and trying to relay that to any fans. And I'm pretty sure I still have that list somewhere. We came up with maybe 20 or 30 different names, and all of a sudden someone just said, well, does it have to have Caravan in it, or can it be a full name like Cara Van something? And Thorn was the coolest something.
Yeah, very good. It's a very cool name. And you're speaking of the when you were talking about like your, I guess kind of how to define the band and the genres, you've got a great quote on the website. I came across a couple of things, but it says alternative time, blah blah blah. I mean, I'll just read this because it's really cool. It says the members of Cara Van Thorn have carved a niche for themselves over the past half decade with an eccentric cocktail of 30s jazz, 70s pop rock, 80s goth, 90s alternative for a timeless onstage experience ripe with bleak lyricism, dreamy brass stabbing piano chords, and infectious harmonies and melodies. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, who wrote that?
Jack Anderson.
Yeah. So we had reached out to KUT when our first single came out, Darkness Fades, and he wrote back and said, I want to use this as the song of the day, and that was his description. Very
cool. And I love your brand. When was your logo always, did it always have this style to it, or did that come with Cara Van Thorn, or was that kind of similar with Caravan already? Because it really fits with the sort of again, there's a lot of elements to your style, but somehow that like really just seems to work really well. So where did that come from? At about the same time, or was that prior?
That came in at the same time. That was another facet of that listening party, was trying to determine our brand so we knew how to move forward and how to market ourselves. Mm-hmm. And when we started getting into that, hearing the feedback that we were very theatrical and that sort of 30s speakeasy vibe, and coming up with this very cool, lustrous name like Cara Van Thorn, we knew that we needed a new logo. So I actually reached out to my brother, who went to school for graphic design, and he designed that logo for us.
Awesome. Well, he nailed it. Oh, yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, I think your brand is great and super just cohesive. I love it. How did you two meet?
Oh, that was a long time ago. When I first moved to Austin, I was doing a home audio install, and I met a guy at work who played guitar, kind of my first musical friend in Austin, and he knew Carrie through her partner, who they worked together, and so we got together that way and played. Struggled through a few years of playing with some other people, and we decided one day that enough was enough. Carrie would come in to practice with this other band, and she's like, I wrote this song last night, she'd start singing on the mic, and I'd just pick up my bass and just automatically drop in, and we had the vibe. Everybody else in the band was like, I don't get it. It's like, hold on to that. We're going to do this in a little while. So that we quit that band and started our own band, and it's just been nonstop ever since.
The band that shall not be named.
Yeah, we're not going to name their name.
What was the name of that band again? So when was Caravan officially? When did that name first happen, and you guys start performing under that?
Oh man,
Tyler's birthday party.
Yeah, one of Tyler's birthday parties.
Oh, okay. How do you know Tyler, man? Because I know you through Seek Irony, who you play with, obviously, and you're also playing with Inch of Dark these days, right?
Yeah,
all mutual friends, and but Tyler I've known for quite a few years, and I think when I've had first, I think one time I was recording them and hanging out with them, and they were playing me a song that you had recorded for them. I don't know what the band name was. Maybe it was Prometheus Tree. Even
yeah, there was Prometheus Tree. I brought them into the studio when I was at TRCOA. That's my first real good time with those guys. We actually met through Tristan, her partner again. Okay. Tyler's, was it mother-in-law?
Yes.
Tyler's mother-in-law works with Tristan, and so he came to our old band. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Donkey Island was the name of the band. He came to a Donkey Island show, and at the time I was struggling to find bands to record in school, so it's like, hey, you want a free recording sessions. So they came in and we had a great time, and we've just been great friends ever since. Tyler's a good dude.
Yeah, man. Very cool. What do you remember? Like was it about 10 years ago or something? Or
about 7 years ago.
I've been here 9 years, and it was probably about 8 years ago is when we met.
When did you? Where are you from originally, Adam?
Originally Odessa, Texas.
Oh dear God!
The armpit of the universe.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I know that place.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, first of all, congratulations on even being alive. And
yeah.
Man, I played one show in that place, and there was the weather was crazy. It was like a tornado. We were worried about a tornado coming in, and I'm not even joking. Like half the bands that we played with, there was like some weird acoustic-y thing before like some metal bands played, and like all the songs were about suicide. And I think like people were just like, "Oh, good, a tornado. Maybe this will be the end of me." And it was just the vibe I got from Odessa was like, we don't like our lives.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
So, well, I don't have to ask you what brought you to Austin. You were just like anything but this, and
but this. I came for the music, stayed for the music.
I mean, you do all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, you're a mechanic. You've worked on my car before. You do lighting, and I mean, you do all kinds of you're an electrician, I guess. Kind of a jack of
not
many
officially,
trades.
but yeah.
So it was that, and then music's always been a passion. When did you start playing music, and was bass your first instrument? Because you play guitar as well. I started playing music in the 4th grade, playing trombone. And I played trombone all the way up through high school. But in the midst of that, I got a guitar, started playing guitar, and probably around age 12. And then that very quickly turned into, we need a bass player. Somebody go buy a bass. So I got a bass and really took to it really well. So I started playing jazz at the high school and the college, and taught myself to read music on the bass, all the while playing guitar and trombone and everything else. And it's just kind of spiraled from there. I have to learn new stuff all the time. I get bored. Well, yeah, obviously you know how to do like everything. I still can barely play, like do one thing, like play guitar. You're like, there, let me build a house. I'm bored. I'm going to build a house and a car today.
With a studio in it.
With a studio. And we're going to get back to Horn Lizard Studios here in a second. But let me switch back over to Carrie. And maybe I can shit on your hometown. Where are you from?
Portland, Oregon.
Try
shitting on
that. Well, I've heard mixed reports about Portland. On the one hand, it sounds like this really cool, musical, artsy place. On the other hand, I think if you're not a super liberal, like if you're a Trump supporter, Portland's probably not your favorite place.
No.
I mean, it depends. If you live on the outskirts of Portland, that gets pretty conservative. The closer you get to the center of town, it gets more liberal and progressive. But even then, it's still northwest progressive.
Yeah, I love the whole Pacific Coast. I love the Pacific Northwest and Seattle and all that. But I've never been to Portland. But it's kind of like, in that whole mix of stuff. So what brought you down here, and when did you come to Austin?
Oh, goodness. Traveled across the country a little bit, lived in Massachusetts and in Nevada, which also has a town that claims to be the armpit of the country. And I was doing AmeriCorps Nevada, and when that term was up, I had met my partner Tristan there, and I always wanted to move to New Orleans. So I thought, now's my chance. I don't have anything else going on. My term of service has ended. I don't have a job. So now is the time to move to Louisiana. And we drove all the way down with our 2 dogs. And every person we met along the way, we would constantly meet people from Louisiana at every single stop. And all of them said, why in the hell do you want to move there? So we ended up in Austin staying with some of Tristan's family, his aunt specifically, and she launched a campaign to keep us in Austin. She kept taking us out to dinners. She had us stay in her boyfriend's little McMansion in the West Hills for a couple nights. And eventually, after about a month of that, and being incredibly poor because we were unemployed, we just decided, you know what? Austin is just as good as any other place. Here we are. And that was 11 or 12 years ago.
Wow. I gotta say, I think you made the right choice because New Orleans is like a cool party town, but speaking of armpits, Louisiana. Look, I got a lot of friends in the whole NOLA in Louisiana, and I loved going through and playing, and great people. But yeah, that swampy, humid vibe, and it just, I don't know. I think it's a cool place. Some places are cool to go party and visit and play, but other places are, I think, more. Austin seems like a great place to live, right? If you can afford it nowadays.
Yeah.
Got a Voodoo Donuts here now too. So
from Portland, you're welcome.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that the place down? It's on 6th Street, right?
I think it's on 6th Street. I haven't been to that one downtown. I've been to the one in Portland. I've been there before. But
The original one, the real one.
the real one, yeah.
Denver has one too now. I've been to all of them, so.
Even the 3 in Portland.
No, just one in Portland.
Yeah.
You've been to all the cities that have Voodoo Donuts.
Yeah.
They actually had a wedding in one once in Portland.
A wedding in a donut
A
shop.
wedding in a donut shop.
That
I think used to be a burger joint.
I kind of like it. I like the non-traditional weddings, Make it your own. Do something different. What?
Have a whole bunch of donuts.
Have a whole bunch of, I don't know, but I would say it would be relatively cheap, but would it though? Because then if they knew it was a wedding, then all the donuts would be like $25 a donut, right? Everything would get jacked up.
They're pretty big donuts.
Worth $25?
Maybe they're in a wedding. I don't know.
Our conversation sucked so much that they left. They were like, oh my God, these fucking assholes are going off on donuts. We thought y'all left. Vic and I were just getting all enthralled with donuts.
Do we need to start shutting things down? So it's something about your browser, blah, blah, blah. Shut down your Riverside studio on the left.
Well, Vic, I don't know.
I have to go through that whole thing again.
We might have to reevaluate Riverside. Earth to Cara Van Thorn. Well, we can. Boy, this is weird. Who's going to have the fun task of editing this podcast? I can see you and hear you. Can you hear us?
We can now.
I hear you now.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Got a little crash and burn.
Oh, okay. Well, we just thought you were like, oh man, they're going to start talking about donuts. Let's just get the hell out of here.
It says we're exceeding some storage limits or something.
Are you?
Bro, I don't know. It's running. Let's just go with it.
Storage limits.
Anyway,
So we were on donuts, right?
Yep.
what's your
Portland.
favorite donut? We got no other questions, so let's just talk about donuts now.
Why not? Honestly, my favorite is that Texas-sized donut that Voodoo Donuts has because it's so big, it can't get cooked all the way through, and I like things to be just a little bit gooey in the center, so it's just perfection.
Things, like not specifically donuts, but like everything you eat, you like to be a little gooey in the center.
Bread, cookies, carb-like things. If they're a little bit doughy in the center,
Gotcha.
that is my favorite.
Okay. Adam, what's your favorite donut, and what type of goo level do you like?
I like all donuts and all goo levels.
Oh.
I'm a fat guy and a not
You're just
kind of
thankful
fat guy body here.
You're just thankful to. You'll be like, as long as it's not an Odessa, I don't care what it is.
Exactly.
It's good. This is great because it's not an Odessa. I'm sorry, Adam. I'm shitting all over your hometown.
Please do all day. Just don't go there. Don't stay there.
I used to live in College Station. I shit on it too. So
I saw ZZ Top in Odessa one time.
What?
Yeah.
Who?
ZZ Top.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
It was kind of a depressing show.
Why were
But
you
maybe
there? Oh, because you lived in Lubbock, right? Which is kind of close, or what?
Did I live there at the time? Maybe. Yeah. I was living in Lubbock at the time. Yeah, so it's not that far of a drive.
You know,
Like
with
3 hours.
with all the vaccinations and stuff right now, it's like I've noticed there's a lot of openings in Lubbock. I mean, not Lubbock, in Odessa. Because it's like really hard to, obviously there's a lot of places here, but there's a lot of like openings in Odessa. And I'm thinking like
job openings?
No, that too maybe, but no, for the vaccination. They're just sitting there with a whole bunch of vaccinations, and the population of Odessa is like, no, we don't want to live.
Yeah.
And then people are just like,
that sounds about right. I went down there recently for a job, and it was like the mask thing wasn't a thing there. Nobody cared. Everybody's walking around Home Depot like it never happened.
Right. Well, the thing about Odessa, right, is people go there and you basically like, okay, my life's going to suck for 5 years, but you're going to make $1 million working in the oil field, right? It's a big, huge oil economy, right?
Or you could die. Either way.
Or you could, yeah. So, I mean, it's an interesting gamble. I've known a few people that worked out on the, I say a few. I think I'm referring actually to literally one person that worked on the oil rigs in the middle of the Gulf and that's crazy shit, man.
Yeah, my first job was hauling around oil field testers in the oil field. 16 years old.
Wow.
I got the hell out of there whenever I could. No thanks.
And so when you came to Austin, you kind of dove right into the audio and the engineering school right away, or what were you?
It was probably about 6-8 months. I started at TRCOA. I wanted to do something, and I toured Media Tech and a few of the other schools, and I don't know if you know Ryan Henderson, but he.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I actually had met him, and I met him through at like a recording academy. Function party one time, and hanging out probably with John Stinson even.
Yeah, he'd call me like every other day. When are you gonna come? When are you gonna come? Start school? When are you gonna come? When are you gonna come? And eventually, I just gave in. And he's actually the reason that I ended up joining Seek Irony. He introduced me to those guys because he knew Rom. You know Rom, how he goes and networks. Well, he met Ryan, and
wow,
and that's how I ended up with those guys.
Yeah, very small community here in Austin, even though there's a billion of us musicians here. That's interesting because and Ryan is your drummer, right? Cara Van Thorn's drummer, right? And now, so you're the core. You've got Ryan drumming. Who's kind of set in the band? You got keyboard, guitar. You've got a couple of horn players. I know Jerome from Inch of Dark plays trombone. So who are the other members of the band?
Cesar is our keyboard player, and I'm not going to butcher his last name because I will.
Reyes Velasquez.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
And he joined with the band when Tyler was having his second baby and needed to spend time doing that rather than running around playing with us kids. And so Cesar was able to join the band, and then we had when we were recording some trumpet parts for the EP, we hired Austin, our trumpet player, to come. Just what was it, a Facebook Marketplace ad? Found him, and he came and recorded some tracks for us. And by the end, he's like, "Oh, guys, I kind of want to play in your band." We're like, "Man, this guy's badass. We're gonna have to step it up."
We also want you to play in our band, Austin.
He's so good. It's like you point at him solo, and he just done.
Yeah, he came in and he played, and we'd already had the parts laid out in the song, and he was like, "Well, I'm kind of hearing this, and do you want me to fill it out a little bit more?" And we just went, "Do whatever feels right. Like, you're the trumpet player. We just know it needs trumpet, but we don't know how to play that, so we're relying on you to make it sound good." And he added all of these little things in there that I absolutely love. So it's really fun being able to play with him.
Awesome.
And that's Austin. I think it's Johanning. All those difficult to say last names.
And then Jerome Chwelik.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Jerome's name. I've never tried to pronounce Jerome's last name.
Is that how you say it? Chwelik?
Yeah, Chwelik.
Chwelik, really?
And
is that Polish or what is
Polish?
That?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking in Inch of Dark one day about how actually every member of Inch of Dark started music on the trombone. Interestingly enough.
Bless you, Cara.
So
wow, dude, I know that's crazy. It was crazy seeing Jerome play a trombone, and then you're saying you played trombone, which I don't think I knew until now. That's wild, man.
So we asked him to join, and he's excited about it. You know, it's fun to see everyone get so excited about it after we spent so many years writing these songs, and it was just the two of us kind of just grinding through it with MIDI, making the parts, and then for everyone else to come in and just be as excited about it as we have with all the work that we've put into it is really special. We have a really special group of guys that we play with.
Oh yeah. I think one of my favorite moments so far playing with them is we had filmed some videos with our friend Gabe Nolan for the upcoming release of our EP, which came out a year ago. And looking back on the song Me Without You, there's this shot of Austin, and there's some scat callbacks in that song. And this shot is actually catching Austin, who's not mic'd, doing the scat callbacks. And that was like one of my proudest moments as an artist, that this guy had come in. And at that point, he'd only been playing with us for a couple of months. So to see that in retrospect, because he was behind me, so I didn't even know what had happened until I saw the final video. And I was like, I wrote a song that people are singing to after they've heard it a couple of times.
Awesome.
And that was such a fulfilling moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know it's not your song, but I got fucking super hooked on that cover of Santa Baby y'all did. That thing is so badass. I was like jamming that shit like every day. It was so good. Because I think it was right around Christmas, and then I had just like finally gotten into the Spotify world, and I was like, well, I'm gonna stop bitching about how they only pay us like 0.00. Nobody listens to my music anyway. What do I care, right? So then I was like, fuck it, and I started making playlists and all this kind of stuff. But that's such a cool tune. So you did the EP last year. That's your not a debut release, but do you have a full length or no?
No.
Nope, that was our debut.
But you have several singles, right?
A couple. So the first single came off of that EP originally, Darkness Fades. Okay. And then, I mean, honestly, we thought at the beginning of 2020 that this is the year that we're just going to start busting things out and playing a ton of shows. And I think our last show was in February, playing with a burlesque troupe. And then the pandemic happened and everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And even at the beginning, I would say I tried to stay fairly positive, and we came out with Party in the Living Room, which was a group effort where we each kind of did our parts separately and put them all together into one. And then the last couple of Christmases, we've done a couple of very different types of Christmas covers. So Santa Baby was the one that came out this past Christmas, and the Christmas before we did a cover of Last Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Hey, on the looking on your website here on Party in the Living Room, is that artwork? That's not. Who did you say did your brother or sister or something did your?
My brother did our logo, but Adam did that artwork.
Oh, cool. So once again, Adam Moore.
Do you recognize the living room?
Oh, it's The Simpsons, huh? Is it? Yeah, it is.
It is.
Nice. That's awesome.
He got it.
That's cool. Very cool. Yeah, and your look is, you'll have such a cool look with the, and I didn't want to say burlesque, but I guess it kind of is, right? In the old, you said speakeasy in the old 20s, 30s stuff.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have these cool, like, the weird thing with the the mask and stuff. And I just really like that. It's just kind of like funky and it catches your attention, Where did that come from? Where did that idea come from? Like with the masks in these videos and stuff?
I think we were just getting weird. I don't know. I don't remember where it came from. We were just getting weird. We were trying to kind of find our voice and not be like everyone else. So we're like, let's do something weird. We got these weird animal masks. There's 4 of us. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was even before we became Cara Van Thorn, because we shot Darkness Fades in 2018, I think.
Yeah, I think so. On cell phones. We just set up 4 cell phones in the middle of a room and just shot it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember those. I can't remember. I remember having an idea about that, like going to Party City and getting all these animal masks. but I don't remember where it spawned from. But what's interesting is that if you actually look back at the 20s and 30s and that sort of highfalutin lifestyle, that kind of weirdness perfectly fits in. And so it actually really works with our brand of being that sort of 30s vibe.
Yeah. It was like the eyes wide shut of the day.
Yeah. Of the decade. Or of the century, I should say. The eyes wide shut decade of the 20th century.
Well, I like it for whatever that's worth. And everything, all your music was tracked. Adam, did you do it all at Horn Lizard Studios? That's your studio, right?
That's actually Brad Graves' studio.
Oh.
I run that studio, but a lot of it was also tracked at my home studio, which is where we are right now.
Okay. Okay.
We do a lot of the pre-writing and stuff here, and then if we need drums, like he has a great live room for drums, so we track our drums over there. But I've got an ISO booth here that we track all our vocals with, so I just kind of go back and forth between here and there and piece it all together where we can.
And where are these studios located? Your home studio and then Horn Lizard?
My home studio is in Cedar Park, and the Horn Lizard is in the Arboretum.
Okay.
They're both home studios, but you would never know Horn Lizard was a home studio because once you walk in, it's breathtaking.
Awesome. Wow, Vic, say something. I failed to follow that up with it. I almost like went into like nerd land about, well, tell me about the gear, Adam. But I was like, nah, we don't need to do the gear.
I saw you kind of looking off.
We can do that another day. You can come by and hang out.
Do you have a Neve or an SSL?
Trident, actually.
Oh, Trident, okay. Well, tell us about it, since Vic's over here daydreaming about donuts. Tell us about the console.
The console, they got it from Victor Vallejo.
Oh, okay.
And we went through it and updated it a little bit and built it into the desk in the wall. Dave DeValier helped us with that. He's a very talented studio builder. He did all the metal work and a lot of the woodwork over there. And then myself and a bunch of other students from TRCOA put the rest of it together. I learned a lot about acoustics working on that room.
Wow. When you were over at the conservatory, did you still ever do anything over there? Or Kafir teaches over there now, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
I don't ever really go over there. There's not enough time for the students that are there now, so I don't want to go jam that up. Occasionally I'll go over there and use their grand piano, but other than that, I go other places.
What kind of piano is it they have over there? I don't remember seeing that.
I don't know. I know it'll track MIDI too, though. It's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
I know Tyler would know.
Went over there. I feel like I went there with, because I remember the Penny Creek location way back.
That's where Horn Lizard is now.
No shit. That's Horn Lizard. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
We did a full remodel of that
cool.
place, and
very, very cool.
It's completely different. You should come check it out.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. That's so crazy, man. I never put that together. I never had any clue about that. That makes total sense now, the whole trajectory of all this.
Yeah.
And then the new place is, I've been there once, and I'm trying to think when that might have been 2009. I think it was pretty new. Like it was just getting going out there around.
Oh, out on City Park.
Off 360 somewhere, right? Kind of west.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time since I've been out there, but yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, I definitely love to come check that place out. How often are you up there? Do you run that studio set and you're up there kind of managing it and I'm doing sessions and stuff? I'm
15 minutes away at my place, so it's a quick trip down there, and whenever we have sessions, I just go down there and run sessions.
Cool. Okay. Right on. You guys all working on, do you do Pro Tools or what's your...
Yeah. That's what they taught us. So that's what we use.
Taught you. The old industry standard.
Can't make myself learn Ableton, but...
Yeah, I don't really know how to use anything, including Pro Tools.
It's been a while for me. I learned Pro Tools in college, so now it's been upgraded so many times since then. I look at it and I'm like, yeah, this is not the Pro Tools I'm familiar with.
Seriously, that's the thing. It's like I remember having like 7, and then they made the jump where they finally the Digitech stuff or whatever.
Digidesign.
Yeah, Digidesign.
Yeah.
Where they went to open interface source or whatever interface, right?
Mm-hmm.
Non-proprietary, and I think that was 9, and now it's on like Pro Tools 5000 or something.
Yeah, we're on 12 now.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like I was using like 3.
No, I've still got an old like Pro Tools 6 book.
That'd be interesting.
What
an interesting read.
What are some with Pro Tools 12 and the newer stuff? What are some of the features what has happened in the last few years that's
they've got offline bouncing, which is pretty nice. You don't have to wait for it to play all the way through.
Yes.
The commit function is pretty cool. I use that a lot. So if you have like say Melodyne that uses a lot of your memory, you can just hit commit and it'll write that to another track and save it. And it does it in like 15 speed. So it goes through really fast and just commits all your plugins, writes them to another track, saves the old one.
Holy shit. Do you have to do you set up another track or does it automatically just do that?
It gives you an option. What do you want to do? Wow. Do you want to delete it? You want to hide it? You want to do nothing?
Brilliant.
Yeah, it does it all itself. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow. I just learned something I should know. Yeah, and then they've got the whole thing now where you can just adjust the little volumes on the region. I guess that's been around for maybe a while, but
yeah,
that's pretty killer. Freeze, right? Is freeze a new thing that you use?
Yeah,
freeze tracks.
I don't know. I don't ever use it.
I guess you need to do that if memory's not an issue. It doesn't matter, right? But if it's taxing your system, you can just. So what does freeze do exactly?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
Ask Fear. He'll know.
Okay. Yeah.
He teaches this shit.
I know. I try to. This is what I do. If you haven't, you see, this is my sneaky tactic. I'm like, cool. I have a bunch of musicians on my podcast and try to like learn stuff rather.
Try to learn Pro Tools.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
Via osmosis.
It's like I've been over at Evil Snell going like, so what's that you're using, Kafir? How does a compressor work, Kafir? Yeah, I usually just turn knobs and hope something works well, and I still haven't made. What's the plugin that makes my voice sound like Victor's voice? This is what the day I can achieve that, I'll feel like I'm a pretty good engineer. Not an engineer, but is that insulting, right? If someone's like, "Oh, I'm an engineer," because they like edit in Pro Tools, you're like, "No, you're not a fucking engineer, dude. You've never wired a room."
It doesn't insult me.
You don't know signal flow. That's what everybody says, right? That's it. Signal flow.
Oh, yeah.
That's step number 1. So what are some cool bells and whistles over there at Horn Lizard, aside from the Trident console?
We've got a vintage U87. We've got just a ton of mics. Mainly it's the rooms, though. The rooms are really special. Just the shape, the way they sound.
And is that something that you built out different from that it used to be, or is some of that original?
It's the shapes of the rooms themselves are original, but we added wood and insulation and fabric and all of that to just manipulate the sound in the room the way we needed to.
And is it still connected?
It was super live before.
Is it still connected to where like it's part of a house, or did you open up some?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like that, and you've got the main live room, and then the control room.
And then there's apartment on the other side. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. What's your musical background, Carrie? How did you start singing and get into music?
Musical theater.
Nerd. No.
When I was in kindergarten, my first musical production was The Three Little Pigs. And I was the littlest pig, I think, in the straw house. And I just really loved to sing, and I was a huge ham. So it worked out. And
it's a good thing you were a little pig.
Yeah, was that pun intended?
It was not.
I'm glad I caught it.
Yeah.
For the sake of my father, I will say it was, because he is the pun king.
He'll be proud.
He will be proud. But yeah, I always loved to sing. It was always something that was encouraged in my house. I grew up on musical numbers, like listening to Jesus Christ Superstar. I remember we would play Pop Stars when I was in elementary school. I always was Madonna because my hair was blonde back then. And I always wanted to be Paula Abdul. It was very disappointing. But that's just, I mean, who wouldn't want to be Paula Abdul? She was awesome.
Straight up.
Right? And so it's just something that always stuck with me, but I never really sat down and learned an instrument. So it took a very long time to actually get into other types of music outside of theater, because I also did acting. So it just made sense to put those together. And it wasn't until the band that shall not be named,
Donkey something. That's
I
all
was really
remember.
given that opportunity to play with other people, and it brought me out of my shell a lot, because doing musical theater and acting is very different from fronting a band. And it's a lot less forgiving fronting a band, at least in musical theater. The musicians are required to follow you no matter how much you fuck up. Whereas in a band, there's definitely a different energy, because there's a lot more equity on stage, and you want to make sure that there's a lot more communication going on with the other musicians, and that you're all kind of on the same page and moving in the same direction. And it was not, I think it was a good band for some of those lessons, because I was not the only one learning them.
Yes.
So
Adam's like, yeah, the whole band sucked.
it was a good band to mess up in.
I can't believe I left Odessa. My golden
Hey,
ticket in Odessa for this bullshit.
The band I played in before Donkey Island, I was the only one without grandkids, so I think that was a step in the right direction at least.
Oh, wow. Okay, well. It's interesting what you said about, it almost seems like backwards. I would have thought like, and I'm sure it is, but like musical theater is so precise, but you're right. I mean, the music is kind of following you as the performer, right? And but to me, like what blew me away when as a guy over here who I love all kinds of music, and in recent years especially, I have just become, because I used to be like, musicals, whatever, and it was something to like knock off during in theater class, you know what I mean? And then I remember doing like South Pacific when I was in high school, and I couldn't tell you anything about South Pacific because all we did was fuck around, you know? But hey, I'm not proud
That's
of it.
too bad, because
I know.
Bali High is a great song.
I know, it's good stuff. Here's what blows me away, and in recent years especially, I've had some students, one female student in particular, who's just insanely amazing, and she's done auditions for various things, and I've learned some sort of Broadway stuff, to play along, and I'm like, wow, this stuff is incredible. I was like fucking like jamming out to, I'm not even ashamed, I was jamming out to songs for Mean Girls. I didn't even know Mean Girls was a musical, but it is, and it was the shit. It was so good, like, and all these like West Side Story and all these things. So that music is so progressive, you know what I mean? And it's insane. It's just absolutely insane so for a musician to do that kind of stuff is really something. And then I've only seen I think I've seen maybe one of their musical, but I've seen the Book of Mormon, which is like the greatest thing ever. I love the Book of Mormon.
It's pretty good.
It's so good. And but I mean, the thing that really blew me away, I mean, it was great, and I love everything those guys do basically, and the music and everything was fantastic. But just like watching the performances and the stamina, you know what I mean? And just like, it's incredible, like the choreography, but in everything, all cylinders firing, whatever. Between all these elements that are happening, it was just like, wow, this is so next level from like being a rock band. I mean, it's one thing if you're Metallica and you got all this fucking crazy shit going on, like that's a huge production or whatever, or a big pop star actor. But us guys that we get on stage and we play, I mean, Seek Irony is obviously a higher level, and Adam, you're a huge part of that with all the lights and all this stuff, and so you guys have. But I mean, a slob like me, it's just like, okay, go. It's like, all we got to do is play the song. Like when you're doing that Broadway stuff, that's like insane, like how much is going on. So it's incredible. And you're over here going like, oh yeah, and being in a band is so hard compared to that. I'm like, what? That sounds backwards to me. I guess it was just a new world for you.
I think that's part of it. Yeah, it's just very different. When you're, especially for me, being in a musical, I'm not me anymore. I'm someone completely different. And so I kind of get to blame it on that person that I'm playing. Like everything I do is related to what the story is. And there's no story necessarily when you're in a band. You play one song and then another song. And so that's another thing about musicals that I found a lot easier, is that you were always following a trajectory in musicals. So it was always easy to know what the next song was because you literally walked into it and spoke about it. Whereas in a band, you're kind of looking at the set list. And it was my first time going like, I don't remember what the next song is and what the lyrics are because it's completely unrelated to anything else we've done so far.
Because Adam picked a stupid song to be next, and it doesn't make sense.
I don't do set lists.
Okay, good.
That's not my job.
Right? I love the bands that just go like, and I've totally been there, where it's just like everyone gets on, or it's like 5 minutes before the show, and you're like, "What's the set list?" And you get the magic marker out, and everyone's like, "That." How do you guys roll? Is it really scripted, or do you just go like, "What do y'all want to play?"
Oh no, it's scripted.
Very scripted.
Part of it is that I just have tried to be very mindful of my voice and the way I sing some of our songs. I can blow it out pretty easily if I'm not careful. So I try, the way that I approach creating the set list is partly what I know I can sing well. Goes in different places depending on when I know I can sing it well within the set list. And then also I think it's nice just to give people a break. We do have enough variety in our songs. Right. You know, you're not just listening to a rock song after rock song after rock song. You can have some rock, you can have some like a ballad, we've got a funk kind of song, some electronic swing, all of these different elements. And so I like to mix it up because I feel like from an audience perspective, it's a little more engaging when you're not hearing the same kind of thing over and over again.
That's one thing I remember about seeing y'all's performance on TV was, the dynamics. And 1 minute, you've got kind of this, it's almost like there were like 3 parts. I think there was even a few maybe that were very sort of intimate, where it was like Adam on like a guitar, like a classical guitar or something, and you and like hardly any band at all. And then the band with like the keys and the guitar, and then the fuller band with like the additional horns and the brass. So there was a lot of different sort of layers, and I love that, having dynamics within a set, and it's not just the same thing all night long. Especially from playing in rock bands, we're like, and here's another metal song, surprise.
Yeah. It's for me. That's where I think the theater part of me comes out, is that I want it to not just be a bunch of people listening to our music and it happens to be live, but I want it to be a show that people are watching and enjoying. And in fact, I've even, I took improv classes when I was doing acting, and took some stand-up classes, and tried to really find my voice as a front woman in addition, so that way I'm always constantly trying to get better and improve at filling the space between the songs. So that way, if we do need to do any sort of band change on stage, or just to give people a little ear break, again, making it part of that show and telling some stories, trying to be interesting, talking about the origins of the songs, just to have something different in there.
Stand-up classes, huh? What was that like?
I am not good at it.
What do they make you do? Because I'm fascinated with stand-up, but I've never actually...
I didn't know there was such a thing.
Oh, yeah. There's a science to everything, man,
Oh, there is. Oh. Yeah. I didn't take too many, but I remember my first one, they just kind of... I mean, a lot of it is very much just... They tell you just talk. Find a subject or a story that you really feel something about. And it could be anything. Something that just really stuck with you, and just talk about it. And you'll start to find those moments. And the biggest thing that they talk about is engaging with the audience. Like, don't just talk at them, try to talk with them. So you'll have those moments, you'll watch stand up, and people will say, like they'll start engaging with the audience and talking to them like, you know what I'm saying, right? Like, you get it. And that way you just kind of make the audience part of the show in that way, even though they're not on stage with you. And I think those are the biggest lessons that I learned, is you can't really be someone else in stand-up. You can try, and for some people it has worked, but some of the best stand-up is just you being you, and just talking about things that had happened in your life.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of being a good artist in any medium is finding your voice and your way to do it, and not trying to. And there's a lot of things that you can study, but it's just like you can't. Robin Williams was never going to be Dennis Miller, and vice versa. They're poles apart, And same way with musicians and all kinds of things. So that's pretty interesting. Are either one of you like a big stand-up fan? I mean, that's almost kind of a dumb question, I guess, because who doesn't love stand-up, right? But I'm a big stand-up comedian nerd, and we've talked about it a lot on the podcast with various people. Any influence in that world?
I mean, I enjoy it, but I don't really know. I wouldn't say I have any specific stand-up like favorite comedians.
Adam?
I think it's one of those things that it's so much better live because that's when you really get that back and forth and that engagement with the person on the stage.
Yeah,
I know there are tons of specials out there that are videotaped, but it's just not quite the same.
I love them. I mean, I love all that Netflix stuff, but there is nothing like being in a comedy club in that moment with a great comedian. It's amazing. I didn't actually see any kind of live stand up until I don't know, maybe about 2005 or something in New York, I think. And I was just like, it was so amazing. And I went there. I know this has nothing to do with you guys, but I went there again in like, not too long, about 5 years ago. And this, Vic, hello, are you okay? He's blocking out his screen because he's munching on a donut. Don't want us to see. So it's just covered in frosting and shame. How's the cream, Vic? What's the cream level like?
Oh yeah, it's creamy.
What's the goo level?
But anyway, this guy started railing on me, and it was so much fun. And then just to watch them. I think that's part of what I love about that. And like you were saying, Carrie, it's just in the moment when the improvisation happens, and sometimes it's not as improv as you think, but it comes across that way, and it's magic. It's really, really great, and I think that happens with music and stuff too. What about you, Adam? Are you
I like to laugh, but I wouldn't say that I have a favorite stand-up comic.
This is Adam watching stand-up comedy. Ha.
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 This is hilarious.
That guy's funny. I'm going to build something.
The lights are broken.
Yeah.
Somebody
exactly. That's what you would be doing, being like, man, I could make that stage so much better. A little too much 200 hertz coming through the subs on that.
I ruin everybody's time around me, so I just have to keep my mouth shut. Don't go to a movie with me. You don't want to go to a show. I'll ruin it all for you.
Is this true, Carrie? Are you like that where you're just like, are you the guy that's all, like when you go watch a movie, you're like, his gun would be out of bullets by now? Or like, are you, that's not historically accurate.
Yeah. Or like, one thing that drives me nuts, especially talking about guns in movies and shows, is how people are constantly putting their finger on the trigger. And I'm like, dude, you've clearly never actually held a real gun before in your life. Like, that's not acceptable.
That drives me crazy.
I totally just went and took, I'm super excited too. Like, I want to go
right.
I want to go do some shooting. Oh, yeah, because it's almost embarrassing to say, but I hadn't fired a gun in like years. And so I was like, I have a student actually who's he's like 12 years old, but he gives gun class. He teaches firearms and stuff, and he's not actually 12 years old. It was a terrible joke. This is why I'm not a comedian. But like, anyway, for like the longest time we had talked about it, and so finally I did this thing and I met up with him, and it's so funny because it's like all that obvious shit. Like, oh yeah, I not like I'm one of those guys like, give me the gun, whatever. I'm a man and I'm macho. But I was just like, he's like, there was this whole big thing before we ever fired a gun. Like, and I'm just thinking like, I'm going to walk in there and just be like, cool, which Glock am I going to pick up first? And no, it's like all this obvious shit, but it's like the most important shit. You know what I mean? And I have always been like that. When some motherfucker is going like, yeah, check out my blah, blah, blah. You're like, dude, like get that fucking thing out of my face. I don't care if it's not loaded or not. It's a freaking gun, man. Yeah, I'm so with you on that. I can't stand, and there's like rule number 1, do not put your freaking finger on the trigger.
Yeah, I always wonder when I see movies like that. I'm like, where's the script supervisor? Like, why is no one putting a stop to this?
Who approved this?
Yes, I'm like that as well.
Let's talk more about guns. Why not?
Guns, donuts, guns.
I know when I think of Caravan horn, I'm like that Caravan horn. I'm like that band likes to shoot guns. That's what I see.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, man, they like guns.
Like a teeny little 22.
Yeah, like old school 19 like Tommy guns.
With like
You guys should have like Tommy guns on stage. Let me give you some bad ideas on this podcast.
It's the new trombone design.
Yeah. Oh, a Tommy. Jerome would like that.
Oh yeah.
Jerome Chalk. What's his name? Chomik. This is what I do best is I fuck people's names up on this podcast.
Would tell you what, you can have him on and make him pronounce it.
Okay.
That's what you should do. I'll do that one too if you want.
Adam, you look like you have guns, right?
No.
Really?
No, I don't. I spend all my money on guitars.
Well, let's talk about that because actually, when I was at your place and you were, I think it was like changing my brakes. I don't remember what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Side note on my amazingly high quality CRV, which look, I like my CRV. I did a lot of research on it. I know it's a soccer mom vehicle, but it gets good gas mileage.
That thing still runs?
Well, listen to this shit, man. So, okay, so I get this CRV. It was in great shape. You know, I've never bought a new vehicle, but this was the one vehicle that I was like, finally, when I had an old Jeep Cherokee that finally like shit the bed, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to a dealership, and I did a lot of research, and I looked around. I was real meticulous, and I found it, the leather seats, and the this and the that, and the, blah blah blah. It was like it was used, but it was pretty pristine. And I was really happy with the whole thing. Immediately wreck it. Run into my best friend's dad's truck at his wedding, so that was fun. That was number one. And then
there's your stand-up story, right?
Yeah,
there.
and then I ran in. Well, my life is just a stand-up story. And then I ran into a parked dump truck in a parking lot, and that completely totaled the whole front of my car.
Wait, was this the same day?
No, like a few months later, maybe. I mean, this was, and then I mean, all within like the first few months of this, I just totaled. So it looks like shit. Like the hood's gone. I mean, it's like I had a replacement hood, but I didn't want to pay for a paint job, so it's all rusty. It's just beat to hell. It's been keyed. It's just a disaster. And things were hanging off and this and that. Well, anyway, so it was super windy yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. This is the craziest shit. So and I've become one of those absolute crazy hermit people, especially I'm getting old and crotchety, but also now with the pandemic, like I don't want to leave my house for anything. Someone calls me on the phone, I look at it in disgust. Someone knocks on the door, I want to like run and hide. I just like become Boo Radley and shit. And anyway, so the doorbell rings and I'm like, oh, fuck. I go open the door and there's neighbors of mine standing in the yard holding my bumper. My entire bumper flew off of my fucking car. And they were like, oh, is this your bumper? We found it in our yard. And like,
do you want this?
I'm like, oh, holy shit. Thank you. So like literally right now, like I have the whole front of my car is sitting in my entryway.
I think you're more like Bilbo Baggins because Boo Radley just never showed himself or said anything, right?
Oh,
so
no, okay.
Yeah, that's the crotchety thing. Yeah.
I'm not really that well read. I just like to pretend I am. Thanks for blowing my cover, Vic. God, you fucking nerd. So Adam, what are you doing tomorrow? Because I need a bumper replacement. Yeah, so where did that tangent come from? So
I'm just stuck on the Boo Radley thing.
Only you would like that's. I love the way we're all like hung up on different things. I was gonna talk about Adam's guitars, which led to a story about my bumper, and now you're hung up on me citing Boo Radley.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
it's Robert Duvall's first film role, so.
Yeah, meanwhile, Cara Van Thorn's just sitting there going, God damn it, I knew we should have said no to this podcast. What is this? First thing, people are going to be like, how was the podcast? Oh, well, the first thing you did was got her fucking name wrong, Talk about donuts for 25 minutes, bumper blowing off his vehicle. So, anyway, Adam.
Yeah.
You have a deal with Kiesel Guitars. Is that still a thing?
I do, yes.
And so the day that I came over to your place to get whatever car maintenance done, You had a Kiesel delivered that day. I distinctly remember. I think it was like a classical guitar or something. Yeah. It's super cool, man. And
yeah, that's it's got the Roland MIDI access in it, so I can use the Roland MIDI pedal and play my classical guitar like a piano or horns or didgeridoo or whatever.
That is so badass, man. Kiesel is just killing it. Like, so what Kiesel was Carvan, right?
Kiesel made Carvan's guitars. They've always been separate companies, but they made their guitars for them. All their custom shop stuff came out of the Kiesel factory.
And see, I don't remember the name Kiesel until, relative recent 5, 10, even like the last 5 years. So I guess it was around, but they've just blown up. And I mean, they've got all these fantastic artists like Alex Campbell, who's just, these virtuosos like him, and Gabriel Guardian.
Born of Osiris just signed with them. So they're on the roster too.
Yeah, man, amazing. I see a lot of their, not as much lately, but I've seen a lot of their content, and they're just, who's that one dude, man? He's like the guy, and he's just always doing. Yeah,
he owns the place. He's in charge of it.
Wow, dude.
He does it all.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, those are killer instruments, man. But I thought that was pretty cool. That's having to deal with them. And you guys, were you there? I mean, obviously nobody was this year, but in 2020, were you at? When was the last time you were out at the NAMM show?
That would have been 18, I think. Was the last time I went out there.
Is that when you landed that thing, or was it,
yeah, that's when we signed with Kiesel.
Cool.
And that's when Rom got his deal with Dixon too.
Right, yeah. Dixon's
and
awesome too.
Sabian and whoever else he's with.
Cool. But yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing some new Seek Irony stuff as well.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's all recorded. It's ready to go.
Very cool, man. Very cool. And Inch of Dark did you guys put out an EP, or what's going on with that?
We released a single, and we're writing now, so we're working on a whole new set. It'll have lights with it. You know me.
Yeah. Oh no. So, I saw you guys play Come and Take It live. I don't know if I played that show or not. I can't remember, but you guys had the whole package. You had the lights and the whole thing going.
We did a show. It was a Inch of Dark and Seek Irony, and then there was a couple other bands. I don't remember who it was. It's been a while.
That's right. Okay,
but
that's right.
That was a fun night because it was like cram the light show up on stage, play a set, rip it off, throw another one up there, play another set. It was a fun night.
What's going on with that band, with IOD? Are you, because last I had talked to Jerome, that he was having some, I don't know if he had a surgery or something
Yeah, he's got some back issues that he's working through and doing some therapy, and we're starting to move forward again.
Okay,
writing new music.
Cool, that's good to hear,
rehearsing.
Man. Because
he's getting a lot better.
I had Skunk Fest was originally, supposed to happen summer of 2020. We pushed it back, and you guys were going to play again.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's been pushed to August, and I think it's a go now. I feel pretty confident that might be a realistic thing to actually happen. So I know that's kind of contingent on him, but I should probably fall. I'm kind of going like, it's been so long. I'm literally going like, someone hit me up about it, and I was like, oh yeah. So I'm really glad you contacted me, because I don't even remember who the fuck I've talked to at this point. There's like so many bands like over a year ago. So and you guys too, and even when you were Caravan, like I think there at a certain point, and that's from Tyler. I was like, I always kind of had that in my thought, like, oh yeah, because I like to kind of open with some more acoustic and softer stuff and kind of ramp it up into the metal. At least the last few years. This year, I think maybe 2 days, so kind of give some more diversity. But I don't know how many slots I'm going to end up having. But yeah, I'd love to have Cara Van Thorn on there, obviously, in the future as well.
Love to play.
We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
We'll see what happens. So, what is going on with you in terms of new music? Are you guys writing, recording? What are the future plans right now?
We are constantly writing and recording. We never stop. And it's so weird how we go about it, because we don't have a formula for writing music. Carrie will write something and she'll record it. She has a little setup where she can record basically on her phone, and she'll send me the tracks, and I'll start working on writing music around that, or I'll write something and send it to her, and she has a little book with years and years of lyrics that she's written, and she'll just shit something out, and it'll be the most brilliant thing you've ever heard. And it's almost too easy for us sometimes. And then when we get to one that we're struggling with a little bit and it takes a little bit longer, it's a little frustrating. But yeah, we constantly write.
Yeah, it is a little too easy sometimes. I just joined a symphonic metal band and trying to write for that. It's taken me a month to write one song, whereas with Cara Van Thorn, we can like bust something out in a week and it's done.
Now, do you think that that's first of all, I like to take mental notes for the synopsis, and Carrie shits out lyrical gold is definitely going to be
yes,
gonna be in.
Yes.
So, do you think that's just because of the dynamic that you guys have been playing together for so long? It's just you're almost like kind of what the other person's thinking or where they're going, and is that
I think so. One of the songs off of our EP that we released, "A Home." I was on tour in Germany with Die Krups running lights and stuff for them in 2014, I think it was. Took my laptop with me and I was, writing MIDI, writing this piano part. Just got inspired, a little homesick, so I wrote a song. At the same time, Carrie wrote a song, and I got home, and that's what it was. We wrote that song on different sides of the planet, and I didn't even know she was writing a song. She didn't know I was writing a song. It just came together like that.
We have a couple songs like that too. Like She Bleeds came together like that. That was one where he was like, here's a guitar piece I wrote. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, I think I have something for that. So I just have this pre-written song from 15 years ago that just kind of fit. And I think working together is definitely part of it. But I think there's just something about our own musical tastes and how we write. It just kind of fits together. And I think out of all the people and all the musicians in all the world, I think we're pretty lucky to have found someone else that just kind of gets what we're trying to put out there. You hear songs the way I hear them in my head.
Exactly. Most of the time.
Have you ever considered the possibility that maybe you were twins separated at birth and like Adam sort of got the Danny DeVito treatment and they were like, you're going to go to Odessa.
You're going to go to Odessa.
And then Carrie was like, and you get to go to Portland.
It hadn't crossed my mind, but
I think we found our next album cover.
Yeah. You're going to get a DNA test and you're going to come back and be like, holy shit.
Guess what? Guess what happened?
Well, Skunk, I guess
that's funny.
Your podcast led to some interesting findings. And then you find out you're related and you start hating each other and can't write together anymore. Fuck you. That's how it is with me and my brother's the only person, like, we've written so many songs together, and it's like the one guy where you could literally, like, we can write something that's just, I think is just so, the synergy's so much there, but at the same time, it's just like, fuck you. Fucking stab you. That's just the way we work,
as long as it works.
Yeah. Ram and Kafir have a little more civilized manner, I've noticed.
Yeah.
But
slightly
civilized. Well, what do you got, Vic?
I'm still thinking about that bumper being blown off your car, man.
I didn't mean to steal the show, but
yeah, I thought to myself, I'm like, is he actually talking about his bumper, or did he blow out his O-ring in the bathroom? So what it was?
No, that was a literal. This is a literal. Yeah.
This time
it's literal. Coincidentally, no. Hey, Vic, before we started, I made a comment. What's going on with your T-shirt?
Oh,
okay. Perfect time to ask Vic a question. All right.
You're talking about the Creasy,
the last few weeks I've been
t-shirt.
sending everybody these emails like, we've been using Riverside because it's so stable, and clearly it's not. What happened to you, Vic? You disappeared there.
Oh, I saw myself the whole time.
Jesus.
You just froze.
Boom.
See, it'll be interesting to find out if this stuff is actually really happening or if it's, it's I don't know.
Just on one person's screen.
I don't know. Anyway, what else should we talk about on this podcast?
Besides my T-shirt and your bumper being blown off.
We can't even see you anymore, Vic. Now we want to talk about your T-shirt and you disappeared.
Oh. Well, it's donut time again.
Oh, okay. Vic's munching down. Hey, so the last show you played was February. Do you have anything on the books, or are you starting to look at any kind of booking again, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, we don't have anything on the books. I feel like this will probably be the year that we could start booking again. But I mean, we do have a 6-piece band, so I would want to be mindful that I would like us all to be vaccinated before playing together again. And then just be really mindful of where we're playing. But I kind of feel like you do, that come August, fall, I know that where I work, UT, they envision going back to all in person in the fall. I think with vaccinations ramping up and they're constantly adding new categories all the time, I really think that we could probably have total band vaccination by the summer. And that's when I would feel comfortable starting to go out and play again. I mean, personally, I'm vaccinated, so I don't need to look out for me. I just need to look out for everybody else.
Hey,
in fact, I think Ryan is too.
What vaccine did you get, if you don't mind my asking?
I got Pfizer.
How was it? Did it mess you up, or were you okay?
A little bit. I got it kind of late in the day. I actually volunteer at the vaccine clinic at UT, which is how I got it. And it was really on the second dose. The first dose, I was just kind of tired. My arm really hurt because nobody warned me that you're supposed to move it around a lot. And the second dose is really when it kicks your immune system into overdrive. So it took maybe about 24 hours to really hit me, or 18 hours, something like that. So I got it like 4 p.m. on one day, and starting around 1 p.m. the next day, I just kind of started feeling really funny. One thing I've heard that I experienced from other people is all your muscles just feel tired and heavy and
Did you
sore.
Tight and sore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then probably by the very end of the day, I remember trying to take the dogs for a walk, and we maybe got about a block, and I just started shuffling and hunching over because I felt so bad. I'm like, why did I do this to myself? Walking was a terrible, terrible idea. And by the time I went to bed, my temperature was nearing 100, but never crossed the line. And then I woke up the next day and felt totally fine.
Yeah, that's kind of seems like what I've kind of been hearing is just really kind of kicks your ass for a day, and really a lot of fatigue, a bit of a fever, a little tightness, soreness, that kind of thing. And some people, I guess, maybe not so much, but usually the second shot, right? And what are those, like a month apart?
With Pfizer, it's 3 weeks. With Moderna, it's a month apart. And I don't know what it is, because Johnson & Johnson is the new one, but that's the older vaccine technology. With Pfizer and Moderna, it's the mRNA, which is crazy cool. I mean, if you want to nerd out about something.
Please, what's the difference?
So mRNA, the M literally stands for messenger. So traditionally a vaccine would have like a dead or weakened virus within the vaccine itself. And so it basically just injects that into your body, and your body learns to fight that off, because they're like, "Ooh, this is a bad guy." But because it's already weakened, you don't really have the illness. Yeah. So with the mRNA, you don't have any COVID in it. It basically just like sends your body a Snapchat, and it's like, "Hey, do you see this virus?" And even more specifically, it's like, "Hey, do you see this tiny little like spike on this virus?" Which is the part of the virus that actually makes it contagious and hasn't really changed and mutated that much, which is why it's those vaccines they're seeing that they're covering a lot of the variants. So it basically just tells your body, hey, I'm going to show you a picture of this part of this virus and tell you that it's bad and that you need to learn how to defend yourself from it. And then the second booster shot is kind of the vaccine coming back again saying, remember when I told you that was bad? No, I really fucking meant it. Please start preparing now. So you never have any sort of virus in your system. And it's just so cool that you can write something biologically to put in your system that simply says, this is a bad thing, learn how to kill it, and then disappears like it was never there. So I find it really fascinating, this technology.
That's amazing. So It sounds to me though like the Johnson & Johnson shot's not as good.
It's not as effective. I think it's just as effective as basically any other vaccine out there for any other virus or illness that you would find. I think I mean I couldn't really speak to why I haven't taken a biology degree or anything. I'm kind of like an overnight expert on mRNA because I just found it so fascinating that I wanted to learn as much as I could about it. And I think it's because of the research that they did specifically on the COVID cells themselves and a little bit of luck finding that protein spike that really, I mean, once you take care of that protein spike, the cell itself is basically useless because it can't keep multiplying and spreading. And because it's attacking that very specific piece of a very small cell, that's probably, and don't take my word for it because again, I'm not a scientist, but my guess is that's why it tends to be a little more effective versus just here's a single variant of this one virus, putting it into your body and having your body learn how to defend from the entire virus as opposed to one tiny piece that exists on every cell.
Wow. Wow. Did you get all that, Vic?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
mRNA, Johnson & Johnson's different. 1-dose vaccine.
Vic, are you getting a vaccine or?
I'm not eligible yet.
But you want to get one?
Yeah, when it comes my time, I'll get one. I had my cousin's wife she works at Pfizer, so I know she's been part of that whole project manager. I think she's a project manager for the whole deal. So my sister-in-law got the vaccine. I'm not sure if she got the Moderna or the Pfizer one, but she did talk about feeling a little tired and sluggish one of the days. I think it was like last Friday or something. So
what about you, Adam?
I totally get it. Same when it's my turn.
Yeah.
When it's appropriate, I'll be the first one in line.
I think it's supposed to open up in April, May or something for.
Well, the president has given a declaration that it should be the beginning of May. We'll kind of see how it goes through the rest of the population first, because that's a lot of doses that you have to get through before you open it up to everybody.
Yeah. I know the UK is doing something a little bit differently. Instead of making sure that everybody that gets a first dose gets scheduled and gets their second dose, they're making sure a lot more people get their first doses before that second dose is scheduled. So they're seeing it's having an impact, right? So they're seeing less cases, less hospitalizations, even with just the one dose. But they're trying to get everybody their first dose first. First dose first. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really been paying as much attention, but I mean, are the numbers, hospitalizations and stuff, kind of going down a bit? Is that trending right now? Hopefully
for UK or the US?
Well, just anywhere. I mean, yeah, either one.
I think yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's the first time I feel like I'm sure a lot of people kind of like we were talking about, like, hey, maybe by late summer we'll actually be able to, or in fall, get out and feel. I mean, I think a lot of people will still wear masks. Hell, I might still be wearing a mask, and even after being vaccinated, but just having that comfort of going like, all right, most people now have gotten the vaccine, just kind of starting to have a comfort. I think so many people have so much preemptive stuff with, and I'm not, super like anti-opening, and like I understand the world can't just stay shut down, but it's just strange to me how many people were just like, oh, I'm losing my mind and I've got to go play a show, and it's like, okay, but we're like in a pandemic right now. It's just like, so it sucks to see all the venues that have, gone under and that kind of thing. And it's a tricky situation for sure. But this personally for me, I think, and I would think for a lot of people, is the first time I felt like, okay, shit, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like maybe it's the first time I felt like not kind of going like, I don't know, looks like we're going to postpone again, but actually going, I actually think maybe August is realistic. I think maybe we can do something,
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable having been vaccinated, and like it was a few weeks ago, so at this point I should have like full immunity. But yeah, I still wear a mask around because they still don't know for one, it's just like I'm not wearing a big sign saying I've been vaccinated.
I think it's a
so people
courteous
don't
thing to
know.
do right now. Yes.
And they also, they're just unsure about transmission, even if you've been vaccinated. So it's just honestly the polite thing to do. Like, I'm no longer wearing the mask for me because Pfizer's, I think, 95% effective against COVID. But I'm still wearing it for other people because just because I'm vaccinated doesn't mean that A, I can be a dick about it around people that aren't. And B, I don't want to accidentally somehow, if they find it is still transmissible, even though you're vaccinated, I don't want to be that person giving it to somebody else just because they don't have the opportunities that I have. Like, I lucked out working at UT and specifically the School of Social Work because that very small group of people got this opportunity to volunteer in exchange for a vaccine. And I know that not everybody gets that.
Well, on behalf of the Eclectic Soundtrax podcast, we'd like to thank you for not being a piece of shit.
You are welcome.
Yeah. Fortunately, you came kind of late in the game. You didn't have to endure my early podcast rants about anti-maskers. So I'm all better now.
You got it out of the system, right?
That's all right. I have plenty of Facebook friends picking up that slack.
Oh, man, what a crazy ass year. I mean, I don't know. Like, are things gonna get any better, Vic? What do you think? Are people gonna start being civil now? Are we just gonna be able to sit down and eat donuts together? And
if people pull their face out of their phones and actually do something, I think we could do that.
That's not gonna happen. We're never going back to those days, man. No way.
Read more books.
Nope.
Less TV.
Not gonna happen. Hey, are you guys? I know I'm being stereotyping, right? Because you're sort of a sophisticated band, and you come from musical theater, and Adam's real smart. So I'm assuming you two are readers. Are you readers?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I can read.
I love reading. I don't do it nearly as much as I used to, because I have been sucked into TV as well. There's unfortunately a lot of really good television out there. But I definitely read every day for fun.
Ew,
I got lazy.
Gross.
Yeah.
I don't read for fun ever.
Oh, you're missing out.
I got lazy.
I just finished.
I use Audible.
I Pro Tools for fun. So
see, I can't focus. If someone's telling me the book, I just start to get distracted. And then I have to rewind, and then it just becomes a lost cause. So I definitely prefer.
We were joking around.
Is that what Audible is?
Oh, is that?
Where it's books on tape?
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Kind of like the next generation.
Right, yeah.
I see,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to read it in order to actually engage with it and understand it and keep it in my brain.
I feel like I would read more if it wasn't so time consuming. But the irony of that is that of the time that I don't read because I think it's taking up too much of my time, I literally probably just sit staring at a wall and going like thinking about all the things I should be doing. So when I could just, might as well just read a book and, waste time that way.
Or I do it right before bedtime. So, I'll go to bed a little early and give myself 20, 30 minutes a night to read.
What's one of your favorite books or a couple of your favorite books or authors? Are you a fiction or nonfiction or?
Science fiction.
Science fiction.
Yeah, I would say reading Dune really changed everything for me. Before that, I was very much into horror. I was a huge Stephen King fan. And then Dune and Frank Herbert just kind of opened up this whole new world of science fiction that I found I really, really loved. And so I eat it up. I'll read other things. I'll read some fiction, some fantasy. But really that's my favorite, is just because I think part of it is that you get to live in this other space and time that feels like yours, but is different. So there's a little bit of that fantasy element to it. And I also find that science fiction tends to be very hopeful. Especially any sort of space opera type science fiction. You're talking about far in the future when we're traveling to other worlds, which as someone who as a child wanted to be an astronaut just sounds really exciting. The idea that we could go to worlds that we don't even know exist right now. And science fiction has also historically been very, very progressive, more so than other areas and other genres.
Yeah, no kidding.
In that they're looking at the world. I mean, even just reading a book, sometimes it's hilarious reading old science fiction. I just finished Ubik, and I'm blanking on the author's name, but it was set in 1992.
Wow.
And they really thought that a lot of things were going to be different in that time. But even then, it's, it has this diverse cast of characters because science fiction writers knew that was the future, that eventually everyone would just get over their differences and realize that we're all just human beings trying to make it on this tiny little rock.
That's the optimism.
And so that's,
There's the
yeah.
All right, what's better, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Personally, I like Star Wars.
Okay, well,
Not that I have anything against Star Trek. It was just, I probably just watched it first and got into it more.
that was the correct answer. We'll keep the podcast going. What about you, Adam? We know you don't read. What do you like better, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh, Star Wars.
Okay.
I don't know that I've ever made it through a whole episode of Star Trek.
There's so many fucking Star Treks, though, right? Oh,
what about Stargate?
wow,
Don't forget
the
about
James
that.
Spader, Kurt Russell movie.
Yeah.
Well, and now there's like 5 different series based
really?
on it.
Oh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I've never seen any
Yeah.
of the series,
I
just the
can't keep
movie.
up with that shit.
Yeah.
But
Are you looking forward to
Just
the
throw
Dune
in some
movie
more
coming out?
Starling.
I thought a new one just came out.
Maybe.
No.
No, I think
No.
it was pushed back to this year.
Oh, huh.
Yeah. The Expanse novels are pretty good. I actually started on the first one.
I just ordered the first one. It should be here like next week because
And
I've been
the-
watching the series.
Look how nerdy they're getting.
I
Adam.
know. I know. The Expanse series is probably one of the best things out there right now.
Oh yeah, it is so good. It's yeah.
Any favorite
Agreed.
Stephen King novels? Everyone's read at least one Stephen King book, except for
Oh,
Adam,
yeah.
maybe. Adam's like, I refuse to read. That bullet was out
It's
of
not
gun.
that I refuse to.
That gun was
what
out
my
of bullets in chapter 1. This book is
Favorite
shit.
is.
You just need to slap a Pro Tools instruction manual cover on it.
You got to
I
trick
do
him with
read the majority of my
Tech reading.
reading is tech reading. How does this work? That type of stuff.
useful reading.
For me, it is. But
It's like with music, and I do this with like piano and classical music and a lot of things. I think I'll go through phases. And so there's been times in my life when I went through phases and I read a whole bunch of books, and a bunch of King books or this or that. And then I just won't read anything for a long time. And it's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm curious because you mentioned Stephen King. What any particular favorites?
Any favorites? I mean, I know it feels like it's everybody's because it's one of the most well known, but I really did enjoy The Stand, which is kind of creepy to think about it now because it all started with a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked his stuff as a, oh my goodness, I can't remember. Richard.
Oh yeah, Richard.
Bachman.
There you go.
Bachman.
Running Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or The Regulators.
Langoliers.
That
I don't know
one
that.
was super fucked up. It was actually so The Regulators I think was either a prequel or a sequel to Desperation, which is interesting because he wrote Desperation as Stephen King and then he wrote The Regulators as Richard Bachman. And I remember reading an interview with him where he said as Richard Bachman he got to go like even crazier and darker than he felt like he could as Stephen King. But one of the things I like, I mean, I probably read it at a time when I was enjoying really fucked up shit. So I just remember really liking it. And then, so I ended up reading Desperation after reading The Regulators. And honestly, I couldn't see how one was more a sequel than another. But what was fun about reading Desperation is that it was based on a town I actually lived close to in Nevada. So if you ever go to Ruth, Nevada, there is this giant open pit mine and the town itself is basically like one bar and a few houses. And the story goes that Stephen King was driving his motorcycle down Highway 50, which is the loneliest highway in America, which I've driven myself a few times. And he goes through this town and it was just empty. And it looked like a ghost town, like right next to this giant open pit. And it gave him the idea for the story. So it was kind of fun driving around and seeing how he could be inspired by something like that.
So was that the whole point of the Richard Bachman stuff? Was that why did he do that? To just
I think that was why. It was just so he could try different things and just get a little more insane with it without risking his career as Stephen King.
Because that was still pretty relatively early on, right? Early 80s or when he started doing that? Or those books you're citing around that time?
The Regulators, I feel like, came out in late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, really? And that was Bachman, not King.
Bachman, yeah.
Adam, who is your favorite tech author? What's your favorite?
Inspector number 345.
What's your favorite Pro Tools manual?
The one for the current Pro Tools.
Yeah, exactly. The one that has the glossary.
Hey, is there a fucking quick command for setting up a click track? That's the dumbest thing that they don't have that. But someone told me
It is pretty dumb.
But someone told me there was one. Was that someone we interviewed, Vic? I feel like this recently. Someone was like, "Oh no, there is," but
yeah,
always do it the hard way.
Yeah, that's like one of those things.
I kind of zone out when you start talking Pro Tools, though. So, to be honest,
well, I'm not talking about with Adam because I can't fake it. A lot of times I just make stuff up, and then the guest is like, "Oh yeah, totally," and I'm like, "Aha, you Logic user." I remember telling some people to listen to the Mark Urselli podcast, and they were like, "It was a little technical." I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty technical." All right.
You guys started talking about cables.
Oh yeah, cables. What were the name of those cables, by the way? Do you remember?
I just remember that there was like an air bubble.
Oh yeah,
built into that thing.
Well, Adam,
give
like
it some insulation.
You're the kind of guy. I'm sure you would know all this tech stuff and probably could build your own cables and do all these things. Do you have? What is your thought on cables? Cabling. Do you have?
What is my thought on cables?
Do you like cables or not?
They're important.
But I mean, do you use like specific cabling? Is there no?
I don't.
Oh wow, really?
I don't see any point in spending $50 on a $3 cable. I'm the type of guy, you're right, would solder them together and make my own cables.
And you have, right?
Yeah, and I do that.
What kind of strings do you use?
I use I've been using SIT strings pretty exclusively for the past couple of years. I really like them. The stainless steel strings, they stay bright longer without going immediately dead like the Ernie Balls do.
How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? Ernie Ball are friends of Eclectic Soundtrax.
I'm not saying they're bad. If I could play like 3 songs and then have someone change it and then play 3 more strong songs, they'd be perfect. I love how they sound for about 15-20 minutes. And then they just sound like they're dead to me.
I don't know, man.
You're dead to me, man.
I'm very skeptical. You're over here saying cables don't matter, but string. I don't know, sir. This is very fishy.
What are the kind of strings on your new Kiesel?
Oh yeah, I got a fretless, and it has flat wound nylons on it.
Oh wow, a fretless
and
bass,
fretless acoustic 5-string bass.
Wow, cool, very cool.
Yeah.
Kiesel.
And that's how it came. So I haven't bought any new strings for it yet, but I'm interested to try different stuff on it.
How many Kiesels do you have now?
4. Yeah, 4.
3 basses and a guitar.
3 basses and then the MIDI guitar. And one of my basses, I actually put a MIDI pickup on it, so I can play cello and stuff with it.
Do you what about like amps and stuff like that? Now, when you record, do you go amps or do you do DI and plugs?
I do amps. I'm old school.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm kind of the opposite of Alex because he's super, Kemper and everything Kemper, and I have a 1980s tube amp in my rack, and my cab is something that I bought in the 90s that I've just torn apart and rebuilt, and the box is the only thing that's original, but I still have the original. My first amp, I still use it on every show. It's just everything in it's been gutted out and replaced.
What's your cab? What's your speaker setup?
It was an old PV, one of those cheap 410 cabs that everybody had, and I bought it in a pawn shop, and I brought it home, and within about 45 minutes I blew 2 of the speakers in it. So I went online and found a manufacturer or a distributor for Eminence, and I replaced all the speakers with Eminence Kappas, and it's been rocking and rolling ever since. I beat the hell out of that thing, and it doesn't care. I use it as a guitar amp. I use it as a bass amp. It sounds great on everything.
Wow. Carrie, what kind of strings and speakers do you use?
Whatever Adam has.
Do you have like a fancy gold microphone that you have to use, or you pound off stage?
I could, if we could figure out how to make it work. I think
Adam could build you one.
Do I have it with me? I
Did you
found
bring
this.
Leave him leave a book by the toilet that says like how to build a gold microphone. The next day you'll have a fucking gold microphone.
I actually found this karaoke mic. And it's like, just for kids, but it's completely bejeweled. And like, I don't think it's rose gold. That's what it is. And I really want to figure out how to turn it into a real mic because
up on stage with
it is so
Fisher-Price.
ridiculous and amazing and covered in fake little jewels.
I feel like I encourage this. Make it, Adam, and as they would say, as Captain Picard would say in Star Trek, make it so.
Make it so. All right, I'll make it so.
Engage with this
A
microphone
bedueled,
task.
bejazzled, dueled, whatever microphone we will have.
That's what we'll call it, our bejazzled mic.
What about what? Wait, did we already cover this, or does Adam? Do you watch movies?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I watch a lot of movies.
Okay, so you and I are the non-readers, so
Yeah.
that's our turn.
Probably.
To talk. What movies? What are your favorite? What are some of your favorite movies?
Oh man.
And don't you dare say how to build so and so. Like
HGTV.
No, I like comedies. The sillier the better. If it doesn't make any sense at all, that's what I want to watch.
Steven Seagal movies.
oh man. Now I really want to watch. I really want to go to like see like Anchorman 3 at the theater with Adam, because now I've got it in my head that it's this hysterical slapstick nonsense is happening, and Adam's just sitting there going, "Ha, ha, ha! That's funny." Oh. So what are some of your favorites? Because I'm a silly movie guy too.
Some of my favorites. It put me on the spot.
Clearly,
I know, it's hard to remember
never
things.
watched a movie.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
that guy with that one movie.
Busted. Never watched a movie in his life. I didn't have movies in Odessa. Damn it.
Yeah. That's part of my job actually, is building movie rooms. So I get a lot of that at little pieces of movies at a time where I have to calibrate a room and, I really want to watch that movie.
So
then
that's
I'll
why
never
you
see
like
the rest of
ones
it.
that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Because you only see little bits
I'm
at
never
a
going to
time.
see the end of it.
He's like placing bits and pieces of different movies together, and you're like, what the hell? Plot is what?
And I'm just fucking people's YouTube or their Netflix queues up, just throwing random shit in there in their house.
Nice.
Like, who's going to get blamed for watching this one?
Ruining marriages.
What was the last movie you saw?
That has happened actually.
You've ruined
I
marriages?
had a customer that had this big remote control, and he was a funny guy. So I put on an icon that was the Playboy channel, but when you push it, it went to like QVC or something like that. His wife, he thought it was hilarious. His wife was not about it.
Oh wow.
Get that shit off that remote. He's like, no, don't do it. It's funny. Goes to QVC.
Well, guess that keeps her from shopping all day.
It didn't actually.
That's actually pretty smart, right? Yeah. I'm not going to watch this filth. I mean, I'll Vic, help, man, before I start talking about porn. Yeah. Get me out of this. Help. We've got a lady on the show, damn it. I gotta have mind my manners tonight.
Oh yeah, I don't.
If it was just
I can't
Adam,
tell you what my favorite porn is, so
just so many, right? Just so many,
right.
So many porns.
Is that one with the guy and the thing?
The weird shit. We did watch a lot of weird shit when I was in college. Man, porn gets really weird. Like,
you said we're not going to talk about porn. Nikki's talking about porn.
This is great. Keep going, please.
I mean, like once you've seen a bunch of grown men in diapers.
Whoa!
It's like,
Hey!
Wow.
Yeah, I don't.
This is the first time I've been upstaged. Holy shit! What the hell just happened?
But then some of it is like so well produced. You're just like, damn, they put a lot of money into this weird ass fairyland shit.
Yeah, it used to be. Yeah. I always like we've talked about the movie Boogie Nights, and I just love that movie. I think it's hilarious and just brilliant. But like, you know, because the whole thing used to be about the production of the movie. You got this director, and he's all passionate about the film. How dare you insult me with videotape? You know, I'm a filmmaker, and you know, and this whole big thing. And you go watch it in a theater and jack off and watch the rest of a movie. It's very bizarre. And now it's like, you know, that what's weird is like things are so, other than this podcast, which is a grainy pile of shit, things are so HD and so amazing, right? So it's just like, wow, hello, every single crevice of your, you know, orifice, you know, I mean, it's just crazy and fascinating. Am I right?
Absolutely. The first time I ever saw like true high def, I was at a training class for this super high end projector manufacturer, and they bring it up, and it was I don't remember what movie it was, but I remember it was Jennifer Aniston, and she comes on the screen, and you could see the line where her makeup was down her chin. Wow. Like, well, Hollywood's about to have to step it up because it was bad.
And there's people like that's what they do, man. I mean, what is it, 27 30 frames a second, right? And they go through and just go through each frame and like clean up the celebrity faces and all that kind of stuff, right?
No thanks.
Can you imagine like what if that like that's one thing if you're doing that with like, okay, yeah, what's your job? Like, oh, I'm like totally we're making the whole Friends series HD. I'm just going in and cleaning up. But then there's like that other guy, right? Like somewhere someone's like doing that with porn and they're just like, yeah, you know, I just really trying to touch up this butthole. It's like it's a week-long project.
Photoshopping ass.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your day job? It's interesting.
Sounds a lot like editing drums sometimes.
Honestly, I'd rather stare I'd rather stare at a butthole all day. Like that's if I had to go back and do some of the drum editing I've done, or someone said you have to edit this butthole for 2 months, I would go, oh, butthole, please.
Butthole, please.
Far less painful. Jesus, that's actually a good parallel there, Adam. I don't know. I mean, one thing about this podcast that I'm never going to get out of my brain is this bizarre diaper porn reference that Carrie made. That's you just went into the Bachman realm of porn. Like you've got your normal Stephen King porn, and then you got this.
Oh yeah.
This
and
diaper
they were
orgy
in a
Bachman
wrestling
stuff.
ring too.
Oh dear God!
Like it was like yeah. This porn made no sense.
Now, and is this like a bunch of you and your girls pals, your gal pals?
That was my roommate.
You and your roommate just like that's the thing, right? Like okay, so here's the thing. Like most guys watch porn, right? Or maybe not. I mean, most guys. What is the whole thing? It's like you either 80% of guys jack off, the other 20% are liars, that kind of thing, right? And so, guys, it's just a thing, and you talk about it in ha porn. Some girls though are like, ugh, gross, disgusting. And other girls are into it, right? Clearly, Carrie's into it, and so but that's the thing. Like, it's different because guys are just like, yeah, 2 people or a dude and 500 chicks or whatever. But I think with an average straight guy, it's like 1 dick and like as many women as you can get in frame is kind of like I think what the expectation is. Maybe that's just me, but that's just my. But with women, I think it's like this whole other thing of like it's hilarious, right? Because like maybe you want to like you expect a story or some kind of.
Hey, some of them do have stories. What's her name? Jenna. Was it Jenna Jameson?
It brings up Jenna Jameson, yeah. Old. She's all worn out. She's like
her movies.
She's old like
had
Madonna.
Stories though. Yeah, but like back in the day.
They
had full stories. Everybody tried to actually act in those.
And I like the way you said tried to. Yes. Oh, the funniest thing. You know what's better than porn is the Avn Awards. That is the. Have you ever watched the Avn Awards? That's like the funniest shit ever. Oh my God, it's so good because you'll get someone on stage like the Academy Awards, right? And they're like, I figure like HBO or something used to air these. I don't know, but someone literally will get on stage and just be like almost in tears and so it's like, I would have, it's like best anal, double penetration scene. They're like, I've worked my whole life for this, and I just want to thank, and it means so much to me. And I mean, and you're literally getting an award for like taking it up your ass. Like it's hilarious. So, I recommend
and
that.
The best editing award for Butthole goes to
best Butthole editing award. Yeah, for the 5th year in a row. Skunk Manhattan. What can I say? I just
yes. I want to thank God.
I want to thank God.
My mom and dad.
Oh, dude, for real, right? That's like the gangsta rap thing, right? Where they every song is like, yeah, kill everybody, and I'm beating up my hoes and murdering rival gang members, and I'll say this as white as possible, right? And then they win a Grammy, and they're like, I like to thank God. Oh yeah, because that checks out, What else? What's your favorite TV? What's your favorite TV show? Non-porn.
Non-porn TV show.
Wait, they make porn TV?
I
thought it was just movies.
I actually met like a really creepy porn guy once, and he was with. It was very bizarre. It was like someone I met like not online. It was like a phone thing. It was just years ago in LA. Like the kind of stuff I would never talk about. Now I just don't give a fuck about anything. But like I met up with this girl, and we like went somewhere, and then she like apparently dated. Everyone in Hollywood's a liar, so who knows? And she like apparently dated Fred Durst, so that was disgusting. And then like, and then we ended up hanging out at some bar, and it was like some creepy weirdo porn guy with like a cane, and he had apparently dating the heiress to Carl's Jr. It was very bizarre. Hung out with some, but they were talking about a series they did that was like based on remember Road Rules, that MTV show.
Yeah,
but it was basically like Road Rules, but people fucked. So I guess it was like bang boss.
Different kind of road.
I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. It's quite. I love your artistic vision there, sir. So I did not get the audition, but I tried. So anyway, yes, TV shows
came up a little short.
Yeah, just
I mean, honestly,
just by like 6 inches. They wanted that. They wanted a 7-inch cock, and I. Sorry, Carrie.
Just too short. Oh.
You know what? I mean, after your diaper remark, I'm not going to feel bad about anything I say.
I would say my favorite TV show right now is The Expanse. It is so good. I imagine the books are probably just as good, if not better, but that show it's been like 5 seasons, and it kills it every season.
God, I regret asking this question because I've wasted so much of my life after like getting recommendations for Netflix shows on this podcast. I completely fucked up and watched all of Cobra Kai in like a week. The Expanse. I refuse to watch it.
You're missing out.
Is that on Netflix? Please say no.
Amazon.
See, I have that, but I'm like an old lady with a almost said a VCR. What the fuck? I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how to operate the Amazon. I don't know. Adam, what's your favorite show? Or one of them?
I started a show last night actually called Raised by Wolves.
Ooh.
On Max?
Yeah. It's basically like they sent some robots with some like human embryos to another planet to see if they could raise them, and all the stuff that goes on. It's pretty interesting.
That actually sounds pretty cool. Yeah. And that sounds like up your alley,
sci-fi.
Carrie. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Are you like
Yeah, I'd have to buy Max though.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max.
Oh, are you like super stoked about this whole Mars rover thing going on?
I mean, we keep sending rovers up there, so
but
I'm
this
like,
one's
well,
supposed to find,
start sending some people.
Right. They're supposed to find some kind of like something, or I guess each time we just get better photographs, right? That's the thing. But this, we're just going to get better photographs, more HD.
Yeah,
more
we
HD
just get
Mars.
more information.
I think it's supposed to start a Starbucks franchise up there somewhere.
That will be the first thing that'll happen. Like it'll just be immediately corporate. Be like Walmart. Bezos probably already owns the fucking planet.
What was the movie that Brad Pitt was just in recently where he had to go chase after his dad, right? And like he went to another space terminal. It was just like an airport. It was all commercialized. There's like Starbucks and whatever. You know, he's walking through the space terminal and it's just like an airport. I thought that was pretty funny.
Something, Astra.
Yeah.
Ad Astra?
Ad Astra. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Heard of that.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Couldn't
weird
get into
movie.
that one. Yeah, it started off so slow. I ended up giving up.
It's all like a quick glimpse of. I usually like when like Entertainment Tonight or one of those kind of things come on. Like I literally like say the words gross and change the channel, or like TMZ or something. I'm like ugh. But I think I heard something like Brad Pitt in trouble, like for something with Angelina Jolie. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
When is he not in trouble?
I don't know, but like
for
I don't know,
something
if
with
a
Angelina
domestic
Jolie?
abuse or something. They're not even married.
I feel
but-
like in the media they have the most volatile relationship.
Are they still even together, right? I mean, they've got like 700 kids, non-biological, but are they even married? I think they got divorced, right? Who gives a shit?
Maybe.
I don't care about Brad Pitt. I don't give a
That's basically where I'm at. I'm like, huh?
dumb conversation.
Who fucking cares?
Fucking assholes. Fuck you, Brad Pitt. So what is the Vic, right? So is Sharon, have
Yes.
you guys heard this about Sharon Osbourne? What's going on with that shit?
What?
Apparently she's a racist or something.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It was something to do with that whole Oprah Winfrey interviewing the whatever royalty that I don't care about. But
It was the cute son.
What? The cute-
yeah.
Harry and William. Harry turned out to be the cute one.
Oh, well, that whole, I always have been just so bored with all that goddamn Queen English shit. I don't give a fuck. And some people are so interested in it. I'm like, God, really? Get a life. Who cares?
Well, I
But
think
it
that's
does
what it
kind of
was.
suck for them. Like that does suck. Like they're getting all, it's like, Jesus Christ, people, like, got these dinosaurs over there that are like, we can't have a royal son who's got darker skin, you know? Like, they'll all be dead soon anyway, so.
Allegedly, right? So
yeah, I don't know.
'cause nobody was there, but
Whatever
but
Oprah
anyway,
says is
so
true.
yeah. But I think where Sharon Osbourne came in was that what was that dude on CNN? Piers Morgan, right? He hosts. He was hosting Good Morning Britain or whatever the heck they have over there. Who knows? But he mentioned something about the interview or something, and people got mad at him. And Sharon Osbourne, I guess, is friends, and she was like, she just basically friends with Piers Morgan, so they like jumped on her on whatever one of those TV shows are, like The View or whatever the Talk or whatever. One of those TV shows that just I don't see why they're
Where
on the
women
air.
sit around a table
Yeah, the
and
four
gossip.
annoying women sitting around a table
Yes.
being obnoxious.
Yeah.
That show, yeah.
That one, yeah. And so I don't know, but because she was friends with Piers Morgan, she's a racist or something. I have no idea. I don't care.
That sounds accurate to me.
Yeah,
I believe it.
Well,
Works for me. Burner.
I was more fascinated with the
Donuts.
oh,
Did you get that book?
I did get the book.
Dude, yeah. So this podcast is going to be out. Well, you know, every podcast
Probably.
is like way late. So this one will come out in like 2022. But like the one that's going to be out, I guess, tomorrow, which will have been like 2 weeks ago. Who knows? Yeah, we had this dude on, and it was amazing, dude. He was telling us all kinds of crazy shit about the
the Hollywood
Sharon
music scene.
and all this fucked up shit that went down with, the old bandmates that never got paid and got fucked up. You know all that, Adam? And like the guys that played on those original records, like they recorded over their shit and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all that stuff, and just all this nasty Sharon Osbourne business. So then when somebody said something about her getting in trouble, I was like, oh, this is perfect timing, because this dude was just railing on her on this recent episode.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, so
Vic liked it.
I was just fascinated. That whole episode was just really about Bob Daisley, right? And then all the behind the music type of drama with all these different bands. So,
well, yeah, but according to Minnow, nobody ever recorded their own album ever.
That's true, yeah, except for Anthrax, Charlie Benante.
Yeah, what little of that shit I learned, Charlie was a badass. Hey, Adam, what are some of your favorite bass players, or what influenced you from early on in terms of what made you want to play bass? Who are you super into?
I remember the day it was. I was so young, and I was like many of us at that age watching Beavis and Butthead.
Oh yeah,
and they had a soundtrack, and there was a Primus song on it. That was the first time I ever heard Primus, and that changed my life.
Awesome.
You mentioned Beavis and Butthead. I was like, man, I hope he doesn't say Kip Winger, right? So they had that little friend that had the Winger T-shirt, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, no.
Well, look, for the record, I mean, I'm sure Kip Winger's, he's probably made a lot of money off it, but I'm sure he's probably like, God, I really wish I hadn't written a song that it totally makes me look like a pedophile now. But the whole thing about, like, he's actually like a really good musician. I heard he,
and a dancer too, apparently.
Really? Suddenly Carrie's interested. He's got the Broadway chops, does he? Like, sorry, that's how your entire demographics talks in my head. I apologize. But
does he?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dearie me.
Oh, my.
I'd like, all of a sudden, everyone who likes Broadway musicals is English. I would like some tea.
Yeah, go check out some of those Winger videos, man. He's doing like some little spinny things or whatever.
I bet all those fuckers probably took ballet back
pirouettes.
then, man.
There you go. Yeah, pirouettes. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I could be wrong, but I think I could be so wrong. I think he produces stuff and does this, and then I actually think that he worked on. Oh man, I don't. This can't be right. Somehow I got him and Alan Parsons in the same sentence, and that just doesn't seem like it's right. But I think he's done some production on stuff where he orchestrates and actually does, like, he's a legit musician. So anyway,
okay,
whatever. I certainly didn't know we were going to talk about Kip Winger on there. How the hell? Where did Kip Winger come from? Oh, Vic brought that up.
Yeah, well, Beavis and Butthead.
And again, this is my favorite part of the podcast, because this is where we really scare our guests, and we're like, yeah. We don't know. We'll get it all wrong. And so when the list comes out and we have the little write up, it'll be like, Adam was initially influenced heavily by Kip Winger, loves sci-fi and
men in diapers.
Diaper porn. Edit that part
Adam
out.
Donovan, a big diaper porn and Kip Winger fan. Wow. Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know where else to go.
The headline just writes
now.
itself right there.
Yeah.
I have to rewrite my bio.
Yeah, for a nominal fee, I'll write a bio for you. So I've got all the facts I need. So Kip Winger, anyone else that was a huge influence for you?
Les Claypool.
Just musically in general, it was the classics, Pink Floyd, your Led Zeppelin, Frank Zappa.
Nice.
That's what I grew up listening to. My dad really encouraged that a lot, that type of music. So
excellent, good.
Still into it. Still inspires me to this day.
Yeah, same here, man. And so, Carrie, coming from a musical theater background, enlighten us schmoes that don't know anything about things with of the aristocratic higher tiers of society. Us lowly rockers. What are some really good musicals?
Ooh.
Oh goodness. I haven't really kept up with it. Like I still haven't listened to Hamilton, which makes me a bad
Hamilton's
musical
pretty
theater
cool.
nerd.
I heard some of it the other day. It's pretty cool.
I know, right? And the whole concept is really awesome. In the Heights, I've heard is very good. I really enjoyed the older stuff. Like Singing in the Rain is still one of my favorite musicals of all time. Partly because the story was the writer, I can't remember his name. I want to say it starts with an A. But he had all of these songs. So he was a songwriter for lots of musicals in Hollywood, and he was very prolific, and so he had this whole catalog of songs that had never been put in a movie before, and so he just kind of threw them at this director and said, can you just put these all in a movie? Like, let's just make this happen. And so you have this bizarre mishmash of a movie with all of these crazy songs just thrown in, and somehow it works.
Wow,
and you can tell that everybody is just having a great time on that film. Plus it was Debbie Reynolds' debut, and she's kind of an inspiration because she was 17 and lied about her age, said she was 18. And she also lied about saying that she knew how to dance. She'd apparently never danced before in her life, but in order to get a role, she just said that she was a great dancer. She was amazing. Wow. And that's kind of like, that's like a real aim high kind of story, like punch above your weight. Maybe it'll work out for you. And of course, then she went on to be this super famous musical theater actress, and all because she told someone she could dance when she couldn't.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to that, to the. I mean, that's what you do. Like, I think there's a story about, I don't know, I saw a documentary or where this was, but Spielberg was a very similar thing. He wanted to be a film director, and he like fucking would go. He went on a tour into some studios, right, and then kind of like snuck away or whatever, and waited till the end of the day to leave. And when he left, he made it a point to say something to the security guard guy, and like he was leaving for the day, like he worked there, right. And so then the next day he comes back, or whenever that guy was there, and it's just like, oh, hey, and the guy just like thought he worked there. Who knows sometimes things are romanticized, obviously, but makes for a good story. But one of those guys too, and I feel like he was the kind of guy that was doing stuff in someone else, and then you get your opportunity, right? Like someone was doing Jaws and it wasn't happening. And they were like, oh, give it to this dude. And then he just like knocked it out of the park, So, yeah, I think it's like, that's a good story and a good lesson for the kiddos out there to be like, aim high, lie your ass off and just get it done. Do whatever you got to do. Step on anyone to get there. This is the advice of Cara Van Thorn. We'll make sure to put this in the write-up. Don't worry.
You don't need a degree, just Photoshop.
Just Photoshop, man.
Yep.
Just and pirouettes.
Fix it in post, bro.
Fix it in post.
Fix it in post. Just no wait. We'll touch up your butthole later. Just take two. Go. We're losing daylight here. We know a butthole guy. Don't worry. He's got you covered. I mean, this is fun. I could keep going all night, and you probably don't want to. So, do we have anything else important that we should actually discuss? Vic? Carrie? Adam? Anything to add?
I mean, we covered all the important stuff like butthole touch-ups.
Donuts.
Diaper porn.
Reading technique manuals.
While watching diaper porn. That's the secret.
That's right.
Don't get it mixed up.
Skunk's got a loose bumper.
Yeah, loose is an understatement. Man, dude. And I was thinking about it because, like, I've just been, like, hunkered down in the house since Sunday. I don't think I've had to leave for anything. But I've got to, like, go do shit for the next 3 days. And I'm like, probably not legal to drive around with nothing on the front of my car. And I'm not like Adam. I'm not just gonna like read a manual tonight and fix my car. I'm not a man. It's very frustrating when you're a man, but you're not a man. It's so annoying, man. So I don't know. I'm gonna be out. I know it's gonna be fucking horrible. I'm gonna be out there tomorrow trying to put the bumper back on my fucking car. It's gonna be embarrassing. gonna be all
Duct
mad.
tape and rope.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good idea.
Zip ties.
Got some gorilla
Yeah.
glue. Just
Gorilla glue, zip
lots of-
ties,
yeah,
duct
just
tape.
whatever shit. Nailing stuff in the frame. I can't make it any worse. So, oh boy, yeah.
Boom.
See you in a week.
Seriously, dude. I mean, I might just drive up to your place tomorrow and be like, hey, let's kill two birds with one stone. How about I come check out Horned Lizard and just be like, hit record, I'll track some stuff, and then also my bumper's out.
Just hit record. I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah. Someone's like in there trying to fucking record something. You just hit it. Yeah, so there's that. Anyway, let's recap. Adam loves Kip Winger. Okay, so you guys have an EP out that came out. When did that come out? In 2019 or 18? No,
2020.
2020.
Oh, early 2020.
Early
And like
Early
so many
2020.
people, right? You were ready to take the bull by the horns and the world shut down. So EP 2020, a couple singles, really got the cohesive, cool brand going. Props on that. I think is your website Bandzoogle or Squarespace? What is this?
Wix.
Oh, holy shit. Wix. Is that free?
I mean, yeah, you can get free Wix sites, but
Yours
we
is
pay,
like a little more, it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah.
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 Because you get like a at Wix,
Yeah.
.wix.com or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks
On the
really,
domain. Yeah.
Yeah, then you just
It's
kind of pick something and
Template based. You just drag it, drop it, change the color.
cool. So, and it's nice and easy. CaravanThorn.com. You guys are on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of. Do you Twitter? Does anybody fucking tweet except for the ex-president? I mean, I never get anyone that's like, oh, and find me on Twitter because I have a huge following. You know,
I mean, we're technically on Twitter, but
sucks,
I always
right?
forget to check
It's
it
crap.
and post to it.
I hate Twitter.
It's crap.
So like sometimes I'll find that someone has tagged us on Twitter like, hey, friend of mine, check out this cool band, and it's like 2 weeks old.
Yeah, no, I know, right? You know what I hate too is like Facebook. Sometimes they have like with pages and they're super. Sometimes I'll find a message in some page archive thing or whatever, and I'm like, oh, well, sorry, guy that asked me if I wanted to play a show in 2017. You know what I mean? It's just like doesn't happen that often. It's really convoluted
It
now.
happens though.
Yeah, and now they're all integrated with Instagram. So half the time I'm like, is this a
it's
fucking
so
Instagram
annoying.
message? But it's on my Facebook. Are you guys on what's it called, TikTok? Do you do the TikTok dance videos?
We have 2 videos on TikTok, but
Let's follow each other. I'm on there.
I've been kind of shying away from TikTok. It's gotten real political, and or at least my TikTok has.
It's gotten really zillennial.
I can't handle that.
That's a
shit.
good word. Zillennial.
That is a good word.
Man, I'm going to have to write that down.
What else is there? Minds. Have you heard of
I don't know
Minds?
about
That's
that.
a thing.
Uh-uh.
YouTube, obviously.
I need less political.
We are on YouTube.
Social media, not more.
No.
We're not on MySpace. Should we be on MySpace?
No.
Do people still
Why
use
did
that
Justin?
for music?
was.
What's his name? Justin Timberlake. Why did he buy that?
Timberlake, yeah.
It's just sitting there. It's just a mess of shit. I don't even know who uses it. Does someone actually use that thing
Apparently, that's how Adele was discovered.
on MySpace? But that was back.
On MySpace.
But that was back in the Tom days, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, it was, I mean, MySpace was like the precursor to Facebook.
Right.
And then when Facebook took over, MySpace pivoted to music. And that's when Adele got on it.
Well, I've heard like apparently, so Spotify is supposed to be. I mean, Spotify is pretty badass in terms of the way it's all integrated. Like it to me, it is laid out a lot better than Apple Music, which is dealing with iTunes these days just pisses me off. I fucking hate iTunes now, but like Spotify is like pretty easy to navigate. They got a ton of shit going on, so it almost seems like Spotify is becoming almost a nice like what Apple Music could be, but also with kind of almost a MySpacey kind of thing, like like and follow, and you do that. I don't know, but it seems pretty cool. I hate it, but it's the best thing that I've found. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I still like Pandora.
Yeah, I guess people still do use. I kind of forget about Pandora.
Yeah, that's because it's so heavily curated that they don't have everything on there. So if you're looking for like a lot of local bands or hard to find stuff, then
Well, it's not everyone
all
gets
Spotify.
on Pandora, right? Are you on Pandora?
I don't think so.
It's kind of hard to get on there, right?
Yeah.
Who do you release through? Who's your distributor?
We do 2 different places. So our EP went through CD Baby, and then our singles have gone through DistroKid.
Yeah, I've never used DistroKid. What's your thoughts on that?
I think CD Baby is a little more comprehensive and offers a wider variety of control. But I like DistroKid because it is kind of simple. And one of the things I really appreciate about it is how cheap covers are to release through that. I found CD Baby was more expensive, and DistroKid is just like, here's, a small extra fee.
Like for a cover song.
For a cover song.
It's like
nowadays
$15, right?
Oh, so you don't even have to.
$12.
So nowadays you don't even have to worry about like Carrie Fox and all that shit, huh? They just cover that, right?
Yeah, they do it for you, and for $12 a year, I'm like,
badass.
Okay.
Oh wow, that's good to know. If I want to just do something a one-off
Yeah.
single like for a cover song, very cool.
Well, yeah, for a cover song for sure. And that's the other thing too, is that I find DistroKid really good for singles
Just
because
cheaper?
you pay an annual membership fee as opposed to CD Baby, where you either pay per song or per album. So if you just plan on releasing different types of covers,
Interesting.
or just different types of singles, you could pay for a year's membership with like 3 songs.
But it's like, so it's kind of, and that's the thing. Like, I remember doing a bunch of research between TuneCore and CD Baby back 10 years ago or whatever, when I started kind of putting stuff out. And like, I'm glad I went with CD Baby. Like, it's a fee per thing, but with TuneCore, you got to, I feel like if you're not making if you end up not making anything, you kind of, and I feel like TuneCore's fees are a little steeper. So are like, right? Like DistroKid sounds like it's pretty cheap in comparison. Like what's an annual fee for that?
I want to say like $25.
Oh, see, that's not bad. Yeah. Yeah. Cause like you do like 2 or 3 releases and you covered it for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool to know. Very cool.
Yeah. And for that annual fee, you can literally release a song every day and not have to pay more.
That's actually kind of a good idea because I kind of feel like certain things too, because there's SoundCloud and Bandcamp, which is kind of cool, and I feel like there's certain things that I'll just throw up on stuff like that, and then you're not like paying to release it because I don't want to pay for whatever it is, $10-15 every time just to release some song that I'm kind of like, this is not really like super pro quality. But if you had a deal where it was like, well, I paid this annual fee and I could just like toss a bunch of shit out there, have it quote release, but not be paying. That's kind of cool. I didn't really know much about DistroKid, but it actually sounds like kind of a cool.
Yeah, and they release through all the same channels that CD Baby does. So while you with like Bandcamp and SoundCloud, yeah, they're free, but you have to direct people back to SoundCloud.
Well, it's kind of annoying.
Whereas,
yeah, and I know like a lot of artists, they don't want to. They're like, well, they're raping us, and we don't want to deal with it. The whole Spotify thing, and I get that. But it is kind of the deal. It is where people go get music and listen to music. And it's kind of, there was a few times we've had people here where I'm like, oh, wow, this is a great song. And then it's not on Spotify. And you're like, ah, shit. I want to put it on my playlist that no one listens to. Damn, so your loss, artist.
Yeah.
You could have made no money.
Spotify integrates really well with other platforms too. So it's so easy to share through Spotify.
Yeah, as much as Spotify, like I get the whole thing, and it sucks that we just make absolute nothingness. But I do think it's a platform. More and more, I'm finding myself being like, "Hey, do you use Spotify?" I've gotten into it, and I'm just like, I know it sucks. Go buy some stock in the company to balance out your losses, and like you'll be fine. But like, it's like, yeah, I think that's kind of the way to go. The only thing I would be worried about there, though, is like if you don't pay that fee, right? Then do they pull your music? Like, what do you have to eternally pay that fee to keep your music out there?
Yeah, that's how it is with DistroKid. They do have that option, kind of like CD Baby, where you can pay more to have it out permanently. But right now, I figure we'll probably be producing continue to produce.
Right.
So it's worth the $25 a year
It's like,
to have that available to us.
If they have that kind of like fail safe where it's just like, oh shit, well, we're not doing this, but you can just sort of like pay an extra fee to be like secure that your music stays out there, then it seems like totally worth it.
Yeah. And I think you can do it retroactively.
Yeah.
Right on.
So if at any point we're like, yeah, DistroKid isn't really working for us anymore, we could probably just pay the single fee to keep those songs up permanently.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
And then drop it.
Yeah. Excellent. I'm out. I'm done. I have no more questions. It's only going to be porn from here on out. So we probably a good time to wrap up. Vic and I tend to have like 4-hour podcasts, and then when I shoot ourselves and we have to edit it, so it's probably, I feel like we've just gone over 2 hours. This seems about right.
It's a short one today, right?
Nice and short and sweet. But we touched on a lot. We covered a lot of ground. I think this was a very productive. It started off a little rocky. Like I got Carrie's name wrong immediately, and we had some awkward silences and people dropping out, and it just sounded like we were going to awkwardly talk about donuts for an hour and a half. But I feel like we salvaged it, and it turned out pretty well.
Once you started talking about your bumper falling off and then the diaper porn,
yeah,
it just really took off from there.
It accelerated. Well,
yeah.
Caravan
touch-ups.
Carrie, what's your last name one more time?
Stevens.
Carrie Stevens. See, that was in my head, but I was not about to just like fuck it up again. So Carrie Stevens, Adam Diaper Porn, Adam Winger. Thank you so much for joining us. Really had a good time talking with you and learned some cool stuff about your band. I'm super excited for when you guys do get new music out and get out there and play, because I am yet to have seen you live, and I'm super stoked that throughout this whole course of 2020 and everything that Up Late Austin kept playing and recycling all these different artists, and I've seen a lot of bands there and was able caught you guys, so it was cool to at least see you in that capacity. And so hopefully you'll be coming around the bend in late summer, fall, start getting back out there and do some shows, and
then hopefully release a Christmas album.
Yes,
that's coming next.
Awesome. Oh man, you guys should.
On that this year.
I don't know that your Christmas vibe is money. It's good stuff.
That's all her.
Good.
We're already working on Christmas music though.
I love it.
So we'll be ready.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Once again, this has been Skunk Manhattan, Victor Ramos, with Carrie Stevens and Adam Donovan, sipping tea and talking about musicals here on Eclectic Soundtrax. Now you take care of yourselves. Good night.
I wanna go out, I wanna have fun, I wanna live like my life has just begun. I wanna see friends, I wanna get drunk, I wanna hit the bars and dance at the clubs. But girl, stop, you gotta stay home, yeah boy, stop. I want you to know that it's not time to go outside. No, so we're gonna dance party in the living room. We're gonna get together on the Slack and the Zoom. We're gonna make plans for the end of June. But for now, we're gonna party in the living room. I wanna eat out and go for a jog. I wanna leave the house and get out of this fog. I know that I can't, but temptation is strong. I feel like I've been cooped up for too long. But girl, stop, you gotta stay in, yeah boy, stop. Much to your chagrin, yeah.